What's up, everybody? Thursday, June 10th, I believe. Is that today?
Yeah,
All day?
it is Thursday today. These
Nice.
weeks
How
go
you
by
doing?
so quick. I'm good. We got a little day baseball kicking off. I know that we're kind of gonna miss talking about these games this morning, but it's this afternoon now. But probably for the best. I mean, I talked a little bit about it on Twitter for a hot second, but yeah, I think I'm leaning Brewers Dodgers in these two.
Yeah.
But gonna be an interesting game or two. How you doing, Mike? How I know you're coming off the tennis court.
Yeah. Just came out tennis court, nice shower. Great tennis session today. So feeling good. I liked the Dodgers a little bit. I actually didn't get around to play it or give it out in time. But it was one of those where I was actually going to be looking at a Dodgers -2 alt line. To bring that back to some plus money was going to be my favorite play of the day on that one. But looks like they're already up 1-0. Game
Really?
just lost. Yeah, they're up 1-0 in the top of the first. I don't know.
That's hilarious.
I don't know if the game. I don't know if they just ended the top of the half of the inning and that's why the game locked, or if there was a big scoring play. I'm not actually watching it, but I have a live odds feed.
I have no idea. I mean, Mookie Betts opened with a home run. So, and
Yes,
then
he did.
Muncy struck out. So that's great. I mean, I played them this morning. I put it on my action app. I talked about it to a couple people here and there, but 12:30 just sneaks up on me a little too fast. Didn't get into Sportsline in time, and we try to get picks up with a certain amount of time before first pitch, and I just wasn't able to do that. So pain in the butt. I was going to take the run line, but because I wasn't going to light the juice. But anyway, probably going to win now, obviously, because I didn't get it in.
For sure.
But no, I think we got a couple good plays. I made my weekday debut on the early edge this morning, which I'm sure a bunch of people watched. That was pretty fun. I'm way more nervous on that show. And coach is like, you got to bring more energy. And I'm like, I'm just afraid. Because here I'm like, I'm ready. I'm good to go. But there I'm like, this is still like.
It's a different thing for sure. Definitely
so new.
different.
Yeah. Yep. But no, it's I'll settle in. I'll bring that energy soon. So very excited by that, though. Really cool to sort of hear my voice come up on like a podcast. That's kind of fun. But no, got two great picks today. Really excited. Going the opposite way of the market today on the Giants. That I did come down a little. It went all the way to like 164 this morning. It's back down to 153. Okay. I think that's crazy. I mean, I had some projection systems looking at 46, 45% instead of like 38, which is what they're coming in at. So we'll see. I just think it's a good day to take a bet on the Giants at that money. I mean, they're a much better team than like a 150 plus money team. But anyway.
Yeah. All right. Let's run through some of the games down the board. First game that is left that hasn't started is going to be one that I have a play on.
There's two.
Is there two at 12-10?
12:05. Yeah. There's a 12:10 and a 12:05. Yeah.
Yeah. 12:05 Braves Phillies. I ended up playing the over in this one. The market's down to 7.5 on it. It's come down a full run. This one opened at 8.5. Worth noting. It makes sense. Day game after a night game. Slightly watered down lineups. However, where it's watered down, I don't mind losing a really quality catcher. Obviously, you lose the bat, but sometimes they're not as sharp in terms of the defensive side of the game. So I like this one quite a bit. It is opposite the market. The sharp side is very clearly the under. I am still on the over for all the reasons that I gave on the early edge. I think a lot of you guys caught that one. I think it was relatively appropriate where it opened. I think 8 is probably the true appropriate price point on it, but 8.5 obviously would have never had to play, wouldn't have had to play at 8. I do have to play at 7.5. How do you feel about this one? Any thoughts? Think I'm wrong? Think I'm right? What do you think?
No, I do think I understand why the market's moving the way it is, first of all. Yeah. I mean, we got Zach Wheeler. Anyone who's going and looking at his numbers, anyone who's paid attention to the Phillies, which is a lot of baseball nerds and a couple hometown fans, I feel like. But no, they're not like the biggest market team. Actually, there's been a little buying on the Braves, which I think supports your position. And I'm also seeing that the 7.5 is at -115. So it hasn't moved to even money. So I don't think people are really like playing this to be a 6-run game. They were playing it to come in under 8. I'm with it. These teams both can hit. Phillies can hit. Anderson hasn't been all that. And we could take a look at it. I don't have that game pulled up, but I mean, this is pretty much, if you're betting the under, you're betting on Wheeler to have a good day. You're betting on Acuna and Freeman not to get to him. Ian Anderson hasn't been great, but he does have a decent strikeout percentage. So, I mean, Mike's definitely sitting here hoping that he doesn't get too many. But, he also walks a couple. I think the Phillies could do this themselves is really why I'm okay with this. The Phillies could this could be a 7-2 game for the Phils. So I think that's what we're hoping for today.
Yeah. I've already given all my reasons on it, so I don't really have much to say about it. I think a lot of you guys have already seen the early edge. Milwaukee Brewers also up 1-0 in the top of the first over the Reds.
That's going to be nice for that K prop because hopefully you get Castillo out of the game quickly because he struck one out in the first already. He just struck out Willy Adames, so he has 2. So Maestro's probably not happy with how this is going because he went under, right? Or did he go over?
Under. They had the under 5.5 on Luis Castillo. I totally get making the play and picking on him. He's one that is definitely performed better on expected numbers than actual so far. So, as you know, I also lost probably 3 to 4 units early in the season betting on him when he had that awful luck. So, at this point, I can't say that I'm positive on Luis Castillo for the year as much as I have been in the past on him.
Hard to be. But no, my guess is that the K prop's probably dead already at this point. I mean, he just needs 4 more, and he's gotten his first 2 outs on strikes, so the under's probably gone. Again, you'd pretty much need him to get blown up here. You need like a home run and then another bad inning and him to get the short hook. Yeah. But we'll see. But yeah, no, good for both the overs. I did actually sprinkle a $10 joke parlay for the middle of the day because I don't have anything else to do after this. I hate it. I hate it so much, but I am up so much more on parlays in baseball than I am straight betting, and it's awful. I really wish it wasn't true. But all these donkey parlays just keep hitting, and I'm like, you want to know what? I'm going to take a couple swings, handicap the games. So I put $10 on Brewers, Dodgers, and then the Brewers Reds over 8. So I really think that that's going to come back and get me a win. We'll see. But anyway,
Mariners Tigers.
Yeah, this one was a frustrating one last night. I really liked the under. I talked about it really quickly, but I didn't actually play it. This was an overtime slaughtering. I think the Mariners came out and scored like 7 runs in the 11th or something like that. Crazy. I'll find out, but not 11. But it was 5 runs in the 11th, and then 2 from the Tigers. So this game scored 7 runs, 9 runs in extras. They broke the entire total in extras alone. So you're going to hear me complain about extras a little bit right now. They suck. No. I don't know. I don't know how to handicap this one today. Any thoughts on it? Would you go over again?
So that's definitely the way it's trending. Now that Tyler Alexander gets the start for the Tigers, it's definitely trending towards the over. I didn't have a play on it. I didn't have the numbers run on it early today just because the Tigers had not announced a pitcher. And wasn't, with Sheffield on the mound, it wasn't a spot where they use a lefty. The Tigers are pretty bad against left-handed pitching in terms of strikeout percent. So I was a total stay away. I didn't even simulate it. So
I kind of like the under. I'm not going to lie. And I'll pull up the park factors. I'm not really sure how Commercia has been. It's middle of the pack. It has the highest triples rate. That's kind of crazy. I guess there's a lot of nooks and crannies, 170% higher than the average park in triples. But I don't know. I don't think it's the best run-producing park this year. It's definitely right around average, below average. Mariners had a huge offensive explosion last night. Their last 2 innings, they've scored like 6 runs. This is not a team that does that all the time. So I wouldn't be shocked if they come out and are a little stymied to open this game. First 5 under, definitely on my radar for this one.
Yeah,
because these bullpens are crap.
yeah, for sure. It was a very easy stay away for me, but I don't hate the first 5 under if that's the way you would like to attack it.
Definitely. All right, what else is coming up? My tabs are a huge mess, and that's why I'm like having trouble
Yeah, a little shorter slate today. Next game is going to be your game, Giants Nationals.
All right, let me pull up my notes really quick. So here's what I had this morning when I tried to read on the early edge, and I literally got through 3 of these sentences, I think. So at plus 150, right? That comes in as a very flat percentage of 40, right? 40% win rate is what they're expected. I do think this comes out closer to 43, 44%, which means you're probably getting like 20 cents on the dollar, which is pretty crazy in terms of what I'm seeing. Again, this is a really nice San Francisco team going against the team in the Washington Nationals that is getting this attention because of Max Scherzer. There is really no other reason. Most other of their starters don't get this line against a team like the Giants. Anthony DeSclafani has been having a little bit of a tough time, but I don't necessarily think the Nationals are the most worrisome lineup in baseball. On top of that, the staff that's going to be backing up Max Scherzer that you would want, which is Brad Hand and Daniel Hudson, threw for 44 and 31 pitches last night. Now, for a reliever, that is a lot. They got the win and the blown save, respectively. They likely are getting the day off today. And, you're getting the B team, and you're getting a really solid slugging team in the Giants that could tie up a low-scoring game quite quickly in the second half of this or final third of this game. So, also the Giants are the 4th best in the league in the last 7 days in weighted runs created. They are 36% above the average, while the Nationals are 26% below the average. So you're taking a much stronger offense on a positive line. So I'm all over this one. It's my bet of the day. It's a dog of the day. It's a steep dog. So don't come, barking at me if they lose. I am saying like a 55% lose percentage based on my numbers. So wouldn't hate a loss, but do think we have a really nice shot in this one to get a nice plus money winner.
Yeah, I have a few thoughts on it. While I mostly agree
tear me down
with what you're saying, I'm not going to tear you down. I'm going to give a couple alternative ways to potentially bet the game as well.
Sure.
Coach actually asked a decent question on the early edge today on this, where it was like, should you maybe bet both sides? Where it's typically not not something that's going to be recommended often, but he did call it out in a spot where it's actually reasonable.
Right.
This is one where I think that if you wanted to, and you wanted to get some exposure to Scherzer, you could bet the Nationals' first 5 run line. I think my favorite way to do it, and then you could also hold off on your Giants play and hope that the Giants are down and bet it live, because there's a good chance that you're going to be able to get the Giants at plus 200 to plus 250 live if they're down 1-0 even against Max Scherzer. So that is what I would probably do. But what I frankly would think was one of the better plays is going to be an over on Scherzer strikeout prop, whatever it is. Just knowing how depleted the bullpen is, knowing that the Giants strike out second most against right-handed pitching in all of Major League Baseball. If you caught the early edge too, the only time Luis Castillo has hit his strikeout prop was against the Giants, because they strike out against right-handed pitchers who should have good stuff when they are on. So that is my only, I still think the Giants play is an excellent play. I have simulation value on it as well. I think my favorite play is, I think you could play that Giants play very easily, but I'm very interested in the Scherzer over strikeouts, because I think he might throw 110 plus pitches in this game. I think that if this one is competitive at all, I think that Max is going to be able to talk his way into pitching that extra inning.
I don't think he's going to need to talk that much. Like I said, their bullpen's dead. They're going to need him to go into the 7th or even the 8th if his pitch count is doing okay. And they still might blow it in the 9th. It's just the truth. This team, their only chance of winning this game is Max Scherzer, period.
Yep. I've got a good question here. Probably more for you than me, because I really don't play a lot of anything other than what the simulations are going to tell me to. When I do, it's always a sprinkle. It's always 0.1 to 0.3 units. It is still coming out of my main and primary bankroll, but when I'm playing other plays, they're nowhere near the amount of money that I am playing on a full play that I'm giving you on a podcast, that I'm giving you, that is coming directly from the simulations. Those plays are significantly more than the others.
Yes. So, full disclosure, I'm $100 better. I'm not crazy. I am not, out there betting thousands of dollars every night. A couple hundred here or there every night is enough for me. Doesn't make me sweat too much, but it also keeps my wins at a good enough rate where I'm happy when I get a win. So, it's all about where you're at personally, and that's okay for anything. Before becoming this, I ran a tutoring business. I still do run it for a while. So, I'm not just like walking in with like the $5 in my pocket and that's life. But anyway, so do I keep separate bankrolls for Sims versus other bets? The answer is no. I have a specific like funding sectioned off literally in my Venmo for betting, and I keep it there. I know my record. I know how much money is supposed to be there, and it's pretty much that. And I run a spreadsheet in and out, and the donkey parlays are house money. I wouldn't be playing them if they weren't. And I've taken some of that money that I won on them out. So, I'm really playing with house money on it. And I have been playing house money on my bets for like the past 3 months. So it's a little different. I mean, the hardest thing is like trying to stay disciplined when you are in the green, and you have been in the green. And I'm like, oh, do I drop that 2-unit bet today? And usually the answer is no. And I keep like a Post-it note on my computer that says $100 only. Like parlays are 0.3. It's like, it's so mentally difficult. And anyone in the industry who's going to sit here and tell you that they have an easy time being disciplined is lying to your face. Everyone wants to be greedy. Money, fear, and greed are that trifecta that you need to try to keep separate. So yeah, I try to keep it as separate as I can. I do keep things as strict as possible. Yeah, everything though does come from a single betting bankroll that I have.
Great answer, and a lot of discipline. It's taking me almost 10 years to be as disciplined as I am, frankly, and it's still very. I still
take a loss on a chase every now and then because I'm sure, and I've had like a drink or two too many, and my discipline is just gone. It's like 1:30 in the morning, and I bet a live under for $20. So I'm like, there's no way this. Yeah, they scored. It's just, look, no one's perfect. My book doesn't even have Scherzer's case, but
yeah, no, I haven't found him yet. Not up on William Hill yet. I do like this number. -118 is getting to be about as far up as I'd like to go on it. I would take it now though. The number I think you might see it go to 9.5 with plus money. So, I like it personally.
I'm with it. I'm not gonna say that any differently right now. But all right. Next game on the slate, we have, I believe, is the Houston-Boston game. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Houston-Boston. Fun series this one's been.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Who you got tonight?
It's tough, man. It's
yeah.
If they weren't facing the Astros, I would be interested in backing Eduardo Rodriguez. Almost said his name correctly there too, which is a tough one for whatever reason for me. But I think the Red Sox are the sharp side. I'm nervous as heck about it. I don't like picking on the Astros with a left-handed pitcher. I think the one thing that's going to help him out a little bit here is it's actually a pretty terrible night at Fenway in terms of weather conditions.
Is that the truth?
Early this year, not early this year, like earlier this week, right? We talked about like, right. The under is the sharpest play, but man, it feels disgusting too with these two offenses, right? It just, scary. For me, it feels disgusting. It's scary, but it's the right play. We talked about earlier in the week, we had an air density index of like 61 or 2 at Fenway, and we talked about how ridiculously good that is there. It's right back to 69 there. Massive negative VMI for both teams, which is funny because this is like game 3 or 4 of this little series here.
Yeah.
In an environment that they've been at, like you shouldn't see -6 one day when they were +3 or 4 the day before.
There's clearly something going on.
Yeah. Massive weather difference. It was 95 there the other day. It's now going to be a high of 63. Going to be in the 50s as this game finishes tonight.
I'm jealous, man. It's still hot in New York. It's been hot all week, man. It's 81 degrees. It feels like 85. It is humid. It is muggy. It is gross. We had like a huge storm. I was on another show that I do sometimes, and like the thunder, like I had to like turn my mic off. It was crazy. But anyway, I think I'm probably. I mean, those VMI numbers scream under.
Yeah.
don't trust the Red Sox to overcome it. I mean, minus 664 for the Red Sox. That's a good question. I think most likely it does help a little bit. I mean, this is definitely going to be an environment where the pitchers get a bit of a boost, right? And you're going to see, the humid, dense air really helping those changeups, those off-speed pitches, those sliders really kind of catch right at the end, which is where it matters.
Definitely matters.
No, I'm with it. I'm probably gonna, sprinkle a little bit on the under. Nothing crazy, nothing more than like quarter unit if I was gonna play it. But does seem like it has a little bit of an edge in terms of like weather predictive modeling.
Yes, the weather edge is basically undeniable on this one. Just definitely. Obviously terrifying with these two offenses. So I'm sure if you take the under 9, the Astros will be up 3-0 on a 3-run bomb in the first inning. But
I wouldn't play the first 5. I wouldn't play the first 5.
No, I'd play the full game if you're going to play the under 9. So I think that this is a 4-3 game kind of written all over it. Should be a competitive one, but
and 4-3 by the 6th inning too. And then
potentially, then lock it down. Yeah.
All right, getting close to the end here.
Rockies Marlins.
Yeah, we can talk about that one. So this one's with the roof closed. I feel like I'm almost sure that the roof's closed here tonight in Miami. Can't speak, but anyway, I'm taking this game. I'm fading the Rockies. I love fading the Rockies coming off of a win. I mean, they actually have been okay. I do want to note that they have been producing runs decently, but I also feel like it's always skewed by cores. It's going to be interesting. They still carry a negative VMI. They're playing Trevor Rogers. The market is clearly in love with that idea of the Rockies facing this guy who's like the darling of the baseball betting world, apparently, because they open minus 210. They're at like minus 195 now. So there's been a little value buying on the Rockies, as there should have been. I do not think that a game between these two teams should have had a plus 200 or a plus 185 line available. Don't hate the value buy on the Rockies, but I do think that the Marlins, if they are going to win this game, will win it handedly. Chichi Gonzalez, who I didn't really get to dive into on the early edge. My little note says Chichi bad, Trevor good. And that's really kind of what this is going to come down to. Chichi Gonzalez has a weighted on base average expected of 371. K rate is only 12.3. Slugging is over 500, expecting batting average over 300. These are just not numbers that are sustainable in any term of the way, any sense of the way. Low walk rate, so it might not be a great place for the over, but I really don't think that the Marlins are going to have a tough time winning this one. Definitely going to be featured in maybe a donkey of the day, but I don't know if there's enough. The Marlins. Oh,
there's definitely enough donkey of the day.
Well, the Marlins are definitely going to be in there. They should be getting this win tonight.
Yep. I don't disagree. I would just obviously make the most obvious statement that Chichi's baselines coming from Coors Field moving to Marlins Park is a meaningful difference for him, which you covered that by basically saying that it's likely a decent under spot as well. Yeah. One of those rare games where a Marlins run line and under play, which are typically not correlated, like both of those. So let's see. I had another question I'll address really quick before we hit the next game, because it's one we've talked about a few times. Yes, run first inning, no run first inning. I personally end up with a lot more yes run first innings than no run first inning plays. The only simple reminder that I'd like to give in this situation is the first inning is going to be the highest scoring inning on average by a considerable margin. And there are two really distinct reasons for that. Number one, it is the only inning of the game when you're guaranteed to have the 6 best hitters at the plate, in theory. Both teams start with their top of their lineup. It's the only time in the game where you're guaranteed to see that. It happens throughout the game in other situations, but it's the only time in the game where that is guaranteed to happen. A lot of these games, too, they're night games, right? So at this time of year, the absolute best hitting environment is
it's going to be earlier.
At first pitch. It's going to be earlier in the game. It's right then when it is basically the hottest that it's going to be. The wind is not going to start dying down yet till later in the game as it gets a little darker at night. So you've got those two distinct factors working in your advantage, knowing that you're guaranteed to have 6 plate appearances from the best hitters in the lineups. You're going to have the best in most ideal weather conditions. You're going to have that scenario where pitchers are starting a game, right? So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you on that. I would probably argue you have 6 of the top 8 hitters in the game in case someone is putting one of their top hitters in the 4 spot, but that's pretty much a negligible point. You're going to have good hitters coming to the mound. And on the other side, what I really like to go to is the pitchers. You know, they need to settle in. How many times will you see a guy give up a couple runs and then settle into the next couple innings and have a nice start? It can happen. It can happen, especially with the pitcher, the away pitcher, because they have to sit there and wait for the game to start and go with it through that. Sorry, a text just came down from no one other than Larry Hartstein, so that caught my eye for a second.
There you go.
Shout out
What's
to
up,
the maestro. But anyway, I am going to, just sort of say that with the pitchers, you just sort of want to understand. I lost it. But when they're settling in, it can be tough. You don't really know who's going to bring it at what point, and the first inning is really like a really tough test for them because of the hitters they're facing. So, yeah, I usually like to lean to yes, run first inning. You want to take into account who's pitching, who's not. But when you're getting plus money on them, especially, it's usually a better bet than it isn't. Yep.
Yep, definitely. I'll hit you with a little more data on this one really quickly if you want to. I'm actually looking at some of the numbers right now. So it is the highest scoring inning, the first inning, 4.7 runs per 9 innings in the first innings in terms of a 9-inning average. That's going to be the best. The worst is the 9th inning. Obviously makes a ton of sense because you are getting half of an inning most of the time. The next lowest is going to be the 7th inning, which should also make a little sense that's when you're typically starting bullpen, bringing in some of the better relievers.
Right.
I think that, other than that, the 2nd inning is going to see the drop, and the 2nd inning having the drop is the one that I like the most. If you can find it, sometimes when I'm playing with it, I like to bet yes run first inning, no run 2nd inning. We think that there's a higher probability, obviously we know there is, of a run being scored in the first inning, which means that it's going to use likely more than the first 3, or has to, in theory, use more than the first 3 hitters, right? You're likely going to get to hitter number 5 at minimum if there's going to be a run scored. So then after that, you're starting the 2nd inning with the worst hitters in the lineup, right? So you're going to be 6, 7, 8, or 7, 8, 9. And potentially on both sides. So that is also why you're seeing a drop in run scoring in the 2nd inning. So it's going to be highest scoring in the first, basically lowest scoring in the 2nd or 7th. And then picks back up again in the 3rd because you're likely flipping the lineup over. Any of those weaker hitters get on, they're seeing them for the 2nd time, blah, blah, blah. We can go over it more in depth if you want to join us on the Discord server. Next game?
Well, we just got a question on Twitter, actually. And since we're live, why not? Kurt asks, as someone only betting small amounts, $10 to $20 units, are some of the boosts on sites like FanDuel or DraftKings a good value or still not worth it? Obviously, they have a max bet amount, so people betting more can't use them. So interested in your thoughts on that one, Mike. I'm not really too well-versed because I live in New York and don't have access.
Right. So, yes, there are a lot of times when you will want to take advantage of those, especially if it falls within where the unit size is there. Max 25 bet, if that's right in line with your normal unit, then you're getting exceptional value on it, right? For the most part. You just need to be careful on which ones you're betting. If it's a single individual event, I think that is fine. If you're betting a boost on a parlay, be careful and calculate it. So one thing about those two, it depends on some of the line movement, but there are many times, especially on DraftKings, where they'll have a parlay where it's like 3 teams to win, right? It's like they'll do like a West Coast special, like the Dodgers, Padres, and Angels, or someone to win on the money line. And the boosted number that is published is actually a worse bet than if you go build the parlay by clicking the 3 money lines and place the bet in the app. So you have to be careful. It is a marketing tool after all. They're obviously for new users, if it's like a team making a 3 getting a base hit, then yes, obviously like max those out, play them as often as you can. But it's still going to come back to each individual plays going to be slightly different. But if it's one that's moving the line, say 30 to 40 cents or more, then generally speaking, you can just blindly bet them, especially if it's falling into something that max bet is right within the range where you would normally be betting. So.
Wow. Pirates just got out of the bases loaded 2 outs on Max Muncy. That's big.
Yep.
But anyway, I totally agree. It makes sense to me. I don't really have much experience with it. I know that I sometimes I always doubt someone being like, here's better odds. It's just like, why do you want me to take them? What is your motive? Shouldn't I go the other way? You're trying to get money on that line. I don't want to help you. But, that's kind of how books work a little bit, and that's no secret. It's no secret. Good bettors know that. I'm not going to the bookie Illuminati isn't going to show up at my door and break my legs because I'm revealing secrets about how sports betting works. Books move lines because they want to get more money on a side that they don't have coverage on so that they can mitigate their losses or make sure that they have proper, balance to their sheets. It's just sort of how it goes. And understanding that will make you a better bettor. So I guess they don't want me talking about it too much. But again, most people just bet the fun favorites that they want to play and bet a couple overs and hoping that it's a fun game. I mean, Mike was talking about it on the afternoon hour last night about how the under in baseball, I think, is like 100 game difference in terms of its record. And it's just like, well, what do you think a leading cause of that is? And it's, well, people like to bet overs. And why do you think the underdogs are winning money? Well, people like to bet favorites. And so what do the books do? The books go and they shade in the direction that they know the public's going to bet. They make the favorites a little bit more expensive. They make overs a little bit more expensive than they really should be. And in the long run, that's how they profit. They don't need to profit by much. They just need to profit.
Yep. All right. Next game, it's the Yankees and the Twins, or you want to hit the White Sox?
Highest
game?
Total of the. We talked Red Sox. Are you talking White Sox?
White Sox. We'll do the Yankee game.
Yankees is the highest total of the day, sitting at 11. Very interesting to me. Clearly, no one's too excited about Michael King or J.A. Happ. Yeah. This one might be 20 runs by the time it's done. Are you on the over? Are you taking the under at that big number? Is this going to surprise everyone? Any thoughts on it?
I leaned towards the under just slightly, but I did not catch it.
Okay.
I don't have a whole lot on it. J Happ is someone that's very, very frustrating to bet on or against at times. Some of the data will tell you that you should be picking on him pretty significantly. 347 expected weighted on base average, expected slugging 500. I'm picking on him in daily fantasy tonight, but every once in a while he does string together these ridiculous games with some batted ball luck that just gets him there. But I don't have any play on it. I mean, at this point, I think it's a really easy stay away. I'm not even laying the juice with the Yankees at that point, at that price point either. I know Jake likes it here. I don't show much value on it, but if I did, I would probably take them on the run line and not lay anything. So,
yeah, I get you. I think that's probably how you got to do it, right? I think probably looking at their run total. What's it at? Interesting. You can get -2.5 plus 160. That might be an interesting way to take this game if you really think that Happ gets blown up tonight. Their team total's at 5.5. I don't know. I don't know if I would touch that plus 160 -2.5, but it is interesting.
Yeah, it's like I said. For me, it's a pretty easy stay away. If you really like it, the easiest way for me to get exposure to it is through DFS. There's obviously pricing and efficiencies and things like that. So
right.
I'm going to play a lot of Giancarlo Stanton. I'll have some DJ LeMahieu, a couple other guys. You guys will see that all on Sportsline if you're playing DFS. So won't spend a lot of time there, but I'll obviously have both sides of that one stacked up pretty heavily.
Yep. All right, a couple more games left. We have Blue Jays visiting the White Sox. This was an interesting one last night. Total pushed right at 8. White Sox at home against the lefty, basically even money. Yeah, I don't hate it. But it is not just any lefty, right? It's Hyun-Jin Ryu, and
Yep.
I think it's going against who's pitching for the White Sox. Why am I blanking?
Dallas Keuchel, the one guy I want to pick on big time.
Yeah.
This one is one you really need to be using expected data, not actual data, just because of the way he likes to put the ball in play and the way he's performing. So been quite lucky thus far. 325 actual, 382 expected slugging well over 500 now. He is definitely in line to get beat up a little bit. So that's why he's actually plus money, plus 101 at this point. I think that the sharper angle here would still probably be the over if you think that the White Sox are going to get to Ryu. This one, I was kind of shocked
also,
that I didn't have an overplay, honestly.
I don't know if this is just because the White Sox have been hammering home runs, but their park has an 18% over expected home run rate, which is pretty significant.
It's definitely a friendly environment overall. I'm trying to pull up VMI numbers. VMI numbers are actually not bad on it. Wind isn't going to help you at all. Like I said, I think that if you think that the White Sox get to Ryu, I think the over is pretty much the only way to look. Right. You didn't lose any loss condition moving from 8.5 to 9. You're now getting at 9 at plus 100 or plus money. I don't hate it. Again, I thought I was going to get there, but apparently the model likes Ryu a little more than my head does. Because I really anticipated this. It opened at like 8.5 minus 120. I honestly couldn't believe I didn't have an overplay in the model.
Well, probably for a good reason, probably a decent stay away. If this one could go any which way. It really could. I think both these teams are serious threats in the American League. Their pitchers can turn it on, their bullpens can turn it on, their offenses can turn it on. And in baseball, it's kind of what it comes down to. I mean, I love baseball, but I also kind of sometimes it's the worst at the same level, right? There's so much chaos compared to any other sport. I've said it once, I'll say it again. There's like no other sport where like a guy can come out and for like 1/18 of the game, one inning, have like his expected performance, and all of a sudden a team has put up 150% of their expected run total or scoring total, right? That doesn't happen in football. Someone can't make a bad play and a team scores 20 points, right? A bad play can lead to a single score, but in baseball, a bad pitcher or a good hitter can drive in, more than what a team is expected in a day. So the variance in baseball, it's just such a high variance sport, and probably the highest variance out of any major league sport by far.
For sure. By a significant margin.
By standard deviations, most likely.
Yes. So the question on Ryu is expected numbers. They're actually quite good. 294 actual, 298 expected, both going to make him better than league average. It's not the best environment for him to pitch against. Obviously, they are now the second best team against left-handed pitching. The Baltimore Orioles are the best team in Major League Baseball against lefties now.
Wow.
In terms of the runs created and
didn't they just light up the Mets for it? They just lit up a Mets lefty too, right?
Yeah, Peterson. That game we were coming out all over that one. That definitely.
Are you sure it's not just who Peterson has pitched against the most?
Right. But yeah, that's where we're at on that one. I think that if you want to lean, I'll lean over, but caution would be, I look at everything in the morning. I'm like, okay, that's going to be an easy overplay. I know my model's going to spit that out. And of course it didn't. So, that's why we have the models. That's why we use them. Last game on the board, right? It's going to be this one, Royals and the A's, the lone West Coast game of the day.
There's a 14-mile wind out of this park today, and yet the VMI numbers are negative 4.6 and negative 10.
Yep.
That's nuts. That's nuts to me. And it's going to be because of a 72 air density. 72 is ridiculous. For comparison, the Twins is 56, which has a lot to do with why that game's so high today. But yeah, 72 is nuts. The ball's going to just not make it out of the stadium. It's just not.
Yeah, it doesn't fly there well at night. If it was a day game, a little different story. But the other thing that's really underrated about this ballpark, a lot of I've talked about it many times, just the ridiculous amount of foul territory.
Right.
at the Coliseum here. It generates 2 to 3 extra outs every single game. It's ridiculous.
It's so easy for like you just have a bad foul ball that in a normal stadium is in the seats, and all of a sudden you're one out with a guy on second situation. Instead of being an extra strike, you're down to your final out of the inning. It shaves runs off without a doubt.
No doubt. You watch a normal baseball game, you're always amazed like how many balls land 3 rows out. Like they don't do that at the Coliseum. So right. Under would be the sharper side here. Montas and Minor, both guys that are relatively high variance. Both can certainly turn it on. I think Larry ended up with the A's on this one.
I really like the play personally, but
yeah, I would have played it on the run line or not at all myself. When Minor's on. But it's a really, really friendly pitching environment and good shift for Minor. So that's my only cause for concern on that. I think the Royals kind of maybe tagged as the sharp side in the market as well.
We are tied in both early games going into the top of the third.
Yep.
1-1. Interesting.
All right, let's hit the NBA quickly before we jump off. We've had some requests on that. Pretty interesting one here. I think it's a lot like that Nuggets game. I actually posted about the Nuggets last night late when that game opened. The Bucks are getting they're -3.5 home favorites. The market from home to road is massively different, right?
Yeah.
Way more than it should be. Obviously, it's hard to quantify, and it's at that point where like you have to, because the spreads are so tight on it. But do you have any thoughts on this? The Bucks -3.5 at home.
I don't know. I think the wrong team's favored, man. I know it's like the expectation that the Bucks are going to come out and look great and do their thing, but like how? How? Is Giannis going to score 60? I mean, I know what has to happen, right? They need Brook Lopez to perform. They need him to stretch the floor. They need Giannis to be able to drive the bucket, be able to pull off his post moves. Chris Middleton needs to be on from deep. Bryn Forbes needs to be on from deep. It's just they need so much to beat this team. And their only hope is that Kevin Durant doesn't come out in his filthiest form because he just creates so many problems on the floor. It is gorgeous to watch this Bucks team look like they're in college and they're running plays and Blake Griffin looks like he's the baddest man on the court. And it's just when that's happening, something's wrong. So I don't know. I think they just know how to pick apart this defense. I don't know how much changes. I think, I'm on the Nets. I hate it, but I'm on the Nets.
Yeah, I haven't made a play on this game at all yet. I do think the -3.5 is a little crazy. I make them -1. So I do make them slightly better.
Spread. Yeah,
I would take the net spread at 3.5. I think that the issue that I have with it is I think that if the Bucks are going to win a game, I don't think it's going to be a 1-possession game. I think they're going to win the game by 10 points if they win a game.
I think they're going to have to. Otherwise, it's like they're going to lose. I don't think they win a close game.
Yeah,
I think they lose a close game.
Definitely,
that's the line, and then you're in trouble.
Essentially, yeah. So I make a -1. The model tells me to play Brooklyn at +3.5. It's a very fishy line, but it all comes down to Chris Middleton, as Sean points out here. Middleton's got to shoot better. If he does, they're instantly a lot more competitive in every way, shape, and form.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm going to end up playing it, to be honest with you. The model,
you're going to go over?
Transparency, the model definitely says to play the Nets +3.5. I'm not saying the wrong team is favored. It's like -1.1 in the simulations for Milwaukee. So
what about
do
that
with
over?
That what you will. I haven't made my decision yet. I could potentially lean over.
Looks like the sharper side tonight.
Yeah.
It's a high number, though, 234.
It is definitely a big number. I don't lean over in the Sims. It's 233. Like it's right there. The best play in the model is still going to be Brooklyn +3.5. I don't feel great about it though. Admittedly, I nailed the under. Feel great.
I nailed the under last game, but
yep.
So my thoughts on this one are definitely pass. I feel like Milwaukee is going to score more in their own building. And I feel like they were having problems penetrating the defense of the Nets, obviously, which no one saw coming, right? And that's why these totals have been so high. The Nets are not expected to be a defensive team, but they have really turned it up. So I kind of like it again, honestly. I kind of like it again. I think 234 is a big number to hit. And like you said, if the Bucks are going to win, this is going to be a game where maybe the Nets don't get to their assumed total. And I think if the Nets are going to win, the Bucks aren't going to get to their assumed total. I don't see this being a shootout 260-point game that is separated by one bucket at the end. One of these teams is going to step up and distinctly win this game. And I mean, I don't think the Nets are going to pull a Nuggets and quit with 10 minutes left, down 20. And the Bucks definitely won't. But I wouldn't be shocked. And I don't know. I mean, we saw last night that when the backups came in, it was actually better for the over. So you kind of don't want that. You want that to be a contested game down to the last minute, with every bucket mattering and defense being played. So yeah, I'll go with an official lean on the under. I don't know if I'm going to play it. I might go take the Nets for a small play though.
Yep, I'll tweet out if I end up playing it, guys, or I'll post it in Discord for sure. Over on my Discord server.
He always does.
The next one is super interesting.
Sweet nuts. I can't wait.
I cashed the last one at plus 3.5 on the Clippers.
You did get that right.
A lot of you are going to call me crazy. I'm going to play it again, I think. I'm right there in the same spot, expecting a little more from Paul George. I think Conley is going to sit again. I think that they're going to do a better job containing Donovan Mitchell and making someone else beat them. Will someone else continue to hit the threes and beat them? Very, very likely. But I will trust the model in this one. And it should only be 2 points with Conley out. It should not be 3.5. We'll see. You'll call me crazy. Models have made a shitload of money for me over my career, and they're going to continue to hopefully do that. But as of right now, I think the Clippers are obviously the very clear sharp side in the game.
I think they could win.
I think it's right there with my Sims, but it's, we'll
I like
see.
both. If you're playing money lines tonight, I think you're taking both underdogs. Honestly, I think you have way too much value on both these teams. I can get Nets plus 143 right now. That's crazy to me. And Clippers plus 130. I don't hate either of these plus money plays tonight. I think one of those teams most likely gets a win.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to kill me for the Clippers take. Everyone loves the Jazz, and they, you get the missed 21 straight shots, still won, all of that. But it's fine. I'll trust the model, trust the Sims there quite a bit.
What about over under?
Utah's just an incredibly high variance team in this particular matchup. Obviously, if they hit the threes, they're going to be very, very, very tough to beat.
They've also won 5 straight. I think they could be. Yeah. It could be. It's just hard to keep winning that much. You're going to have a bad game. Someone's not going to play well. What Donovan Mitchell's going to have his 6th straight incredible game. He might be off. He's not perfect, and this might be a good spot, a good come down spot for them. They're still a young, relatively inexperienced team in terms of their leadership in Mitchell. I mean, he hasn't been in the spot before, and Kawhi Leonard has.
I'm curious to see.
Man.
Oh, he's a very bad man. I'm very curious to see what, some of the rotations from the Clippers with Ty Lue were a little goofy in that last game. I'm wondering if Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are just going to step up and literally try and coach the team in this game. And
I wouldn't be shocked.
They actually played well for a few stretches with Cousins on the floor. Zubats was good at times for them. It's right where I'm at. I make the game -2. I like it. I'll take the 1.5 with the Clippers +3, +3.5 if you can get it still. That's where I'm at on it. Feel free to tweet at me and tell me that I was wrong if you'd like to on this one.
The Pirates have now loaded the bases for a second time, this time with no outs. Lovely. And they just scored on a sack fly. Nice.
Talk about timing. I told you it was going to happen there. We all kind of figured it was, but Mike Conley has now been ruled out.
Wow. That's big. Is that going to shift the line a little bit?
Probably not. It might touch.
I think he was expected, right?
2.5, but it's mostly going to be where it's at. But
I think that was expected.
Yes,
but yeah,
but it makes a big difference in the Sims. Actually, it really
yeah,
does.
I'm excited. I mean, I'll throw a little shill out there for you guys. I've been playing this new daily fantasy game with top shot moments, which is pretty fun, and you have to take advantage of like the certain play type in the moment in order to win. So like tonight with Conley out, you're going to go take Donovan Mitchell on his assist rather than his points to try to get a boost. So I'm super excited. I'm going to go talk about that for a while for the rest of my afternoon. I think it's going to be a great day of sports. Dodgers up a little bit, hopefully get a couple more runs here. But hey, I hope you all have a good day. We will both be on the early edge and back here at 12:30 tomorrow. So get your daily dose.
Yep. See you guys on Twitter and Discord. Good luck.